All right, we're gonna start. We're gonna record. We're recording. Yes. We're live.
So don't fuck it up.
Okay.
All right, you're breaking that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Locked and Loaded interview sessions. My name is Nick Hausman. I am joined now by my good friend Travis Tack.
Hey, Internet.
And in the green room today, we are joined by Matt Owens, Warren Phoenix Johnson, and new arrival, Nathan Cotter.
He's less drunk than the rest of us.
But this isn't about the green room. This is about Travis. And Travis, we're here to talk improv, right?
Yes, we are.
We're going to talk improv things and Locked and Loaded, of course, here at the end. But Travis, where did you? Well, let's start at the beginning here. I think because you're newer, I knew the other two guys a little bit better. Where did you grow up, Travis?
I was born in the suburbs of Chicago, and when I was 5, my dad got a job transfer to London. So I spent from I turned 6 there, like a month after I was had moved there, and then lived there till I was 18.
You lived in London until you were 18 years old.
12 years.
Did you do comedy in London then?
I actually, during that period of time, I started doing comedy, but I did it in Boston when I was 16. I had some friends out there, so I went out and did some shows.
But this is while you were living in London?
Yeah. I had buddies out in Boston, so I went out to Boston, did shows there. London, the scene's, it's really different, and at the time, it wouldn't have really worked for a teenage American to
do comedy.
Well, I was doing stand-up at the time mostly, too.
So you were doing stand-up in London, though?
No, I didn't work their circuit so much. I know some of their comics. It's a very close-knit community, and you wouldn't really fit in as a teenager, an American teenager, doing it with these guys.
Okay, so you came back from London. Where did you move? Immediately to Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what made you, what drew you to Chicago then? Was it the comedy scene?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved all of the history. Like, I was in 6th or 7th grade when I started studying Second City and figuring out where all these people came from and stuff like that. So it was always in the back of my mind, and then when I was...
So what were you studying Second City on? Like, was there books? Did you read Something Wonderful Right Away? Did you read, the coffee table book?
I was an internet nerd / I've always been one for picking out books by these guys, just like their biographies, libraries, pick them up, flip through it. I mean, it's just something that I sort of noticed, like, having read a lot of these dudes' biographies. Like, there seem to be certain central places that are focuses for things.
Okay.
And then Chicago, they all sort of gelled over the next couple of years. I was still, like, 12 or so when we're talking about this.
So as soon as at the early age of 12, you're already reading about the Second City. Because, like, I was the same way. Like, when in high school, I was a huge improv nerd. Mm-hmm. I did a bunch of different improv in high school and stuff. And so I was also, like, reading up on Chicago and how great it was. And so you were 18 when you made the leap to the city, right?
Yeah, I came over here. I was doing college touring, like, my end of my junior year, beginning of my senior year or something. Well, and this was the only city that felt the way a city.
What does college touring mean? I
mean, like, checking out colleges where I was going to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew I was coming back to America, so I came back. I looked here. I looked at some places in Massachusetts because I had, a lot of friends around there, and that's where I sort of started.
Sure.
But then, really, Chicago was the only place that felt the way a city should feel. Like, I'd spent so long, like, living in London and stuff, and I was always sort of mixed feelings on it. When I came back, it was just like, this is what it's meant to be.
Yeah, no,
tracks, people, fucking hot dog stands everywhere, Vienna beef signs. I think it's just because I was a kid, but...
That honking sign, that is Chicago. That's what you moved here for.
There you go, man.
It was the crazy traffic and the assholes and Wrigley and stuff.
Yeah, but like 1/3 that I'm out in L.A. or New York, so we're good.
No, but it is true. I mean, I looked at North Carolina. Mm-hmm. I looked in Texas, and Chicago was just that place where I was like, it's big city, but it's not so big city that I feel like overwhelmed by it.
Well, it had what I was looking to do, too. I always did kind of want to study here. I didn't do it for my first year when I was a freshman in college. I sort of put it off for a little while, and then by sophomore year, I was like, no, fuck it. There's a reason that you wanted to be here other than the fact that it felt nice. So I started going to the Annoyance.
So you started at the Annoyance. And so how old were you when you started the Annoyance?
Probably 19, like right before I turned 20. And then I did classes there for a while. Started at IO when I was around 4. I was at Annoyance. I was still a little on and off. My classes, I wasn't doing it straight through. I dropped a couple, so there were some month breaks.
Sure.
And then once I finally got to like 4 or something, I picked up IO.
Level 4.
Yeah, at the Annoyance. Sorry, yeah, level 4. I picked up IO because my girlfriend at the time had always wanted to study there. And I was like, I have too, so let's go do that together.
That's amazing. I've never had a girl where I've been
we broke up.
Oh, you broke up.
It was not as good as you're thinking. It was a little weird, but it was fine. It was a blast. We started there.
So, well, let's slow this down a little bit and try to keep your cigarette off from over the area above my bed. The one thing I don't want is ash and burned holes in my sheets. But at the Annoyance,
It's cool. I called you out on your milk thing.
It's
so.
okay. It's all right. It's all right. I was just getting nervous because I was watching.
Hold this back here.
I was watching this just hover over my sheets, and I just saw only negative things coming of it.
No, it's fine, man. I can do some great things on your bed sheets.
Dude, come on, man. My bed sheets are, okay.
All right, let's move past this.
Where
were we? Okay, so
I slowed them down too much. I slowed them to a complete halt. So you're at the Annoyance. Who's your first teacher at the Annoyance?
I want to say it was Dan Jessup. I've thought about it a bunch, and I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay.
But, again, I can't full on remember. I know I studied with him. I want to say level 2 I did twice, because I know I studied with Rich Sohn, who's wonderful, but I think I ended up, at the time I was semi also dropping out of school, so I think I missed some classes, and then it was like I should just re-register.
Yeah.
Rich was great, especially for like your second improv teacher in Chicago, just like tear your fucking face off.
Well, but the thing is, he's so soft-spoken about it. Like, Rich Sohn is
he's soft-spoken, but he's the most sarcastic motherfucker ever. I love him.
Well, 1 second, I've talked to the green room real fast, Travis, and I know that this podcast is going another way, but the card game is distracting. It's at the corner of our eyes. We can see the card game. You can do it if you want to do it in that. If you want to do it in the other corner. All right.
It's Rich Sohn.
Rich Sohn.
He's wonderful. No, I did that. So I think it was Dan Jessup, which was actually really cool because he came and did a set. I think he's coaching my friends Bloodsport, who do the show below occasionally. And he dropped by and just played with them there. And it was, right before he went up, I was like, this actually makes me really happy because you're my first improv teacher in this city. And, like, having gone through all these programs now, is really cool that you showed up and played with people for me. I don't know, it's weird.
No,
and it's not like he's a huge name, but it's just one of those things where you're like, cool.
Well, Rich is a big name in the scene, you know? And that's
this was Dan Jessup, sorry.
That was Dan Jessup. Okay.
So it's like, it's not like a blowout name, but for me it was like, he was my teacher when I started doing improv classes.
Yeah.
You know, in Chicago, which is, these improv teachers, they're doing something here, you know?
And after a while, like, your improv teachers, you get to play with them a little bit, and it's very surreal, and then you realize the truth is that we're all just here to fuck around and play, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the reason that these guys have been here for so long is because people just enjoy playing with them, you know?
Yeah, he did the same kind of set at the show below, which is in the basement of a bar. It's cabaret style. It can be a little bit different. It forces you to play a different way. He could still perform the way he performs anywhere else. So.
All right. Well, this is not a show about Dan Jessup. This is a show about Travis Tack.
We can branch into the show below if you want.
So, but I want to talk about. So you go through the Annoyance. You've been there 4 levels before you started IO. What was your mentality then about improv? Because I did IO first before the Annoyance. So what was?
When I got to the Annoyance or to the IO, it was definitely not at first because level 1 sort of intro. There's a lot. We had Steve Valtine too, so there's a lot of history stuff.
Yeah, he's smart guy.
Yeah, once we started to get to like 2 and 3, it became definitely like just a shock to my system because like everything that I had learned this far was completely conflicting. Like the Annoyance teaches you to protect yourself. You come up with a character. I mean, maybe that's not how they'd want to express it, but you come up with a character. You take care of yourself, and what'll happen is you and your scene partner both have characters, and you interact as humans do, on a basic level. But what you're doing is focusing internally, and IO's entirely about focusing externally.
Okay. And
feeding information to your scene partners instead of yourself. So when I got there, I'd be taking care of myself in a scene. The other person was just so goddamn. It was like, I'm not getting anything from this guy. And it's like, oh, no, this is my thing. Just, where are we? Cool. Then you be your dude and we'll be fine.
It's a total culture shock.
It is.
And so what were your IO? So 2 and 3, who were your coaches in it, or your teachers in 2 and 3?
At IO?
Yeah, at IO.
Katie Rich. Was my 2.
Sweetheart?
Yep.
Okay.
Subbing, she did teaching Susan's level, which was funny when I actually had Susan, I was like, did you teach Katie Rich, like, in her first class? And she was like, yes, I did. And I was like, alright. And she was, what? She literally stopped me and was like, why the fuck? She just asked me that. I was like, she's teaching me, and it's like this, but slightly Katie-er.
Yeah, it's a little more Katie Rich. So you had Katie Rich.
I heard that I had Kate Duffy, so I sort of went through the Children of Lesser God school for a while. And then at the Annoyance, actually, when I was doing Kate Duffy, Susan was my 3 and moved up to 4 with us. So I guess I actually started at 3.
So you had Susan for 2 levels?
Yeah, it was wonderful because it was the year that Mark Sutton went off to do some other stuff.
Now I love Susan Messing. Now I'm a big Susan Messing mark. I think she's a great lady. Now, when you're taking a class with Susan, describe to the people of the internet what a Susan Messing class is like.
It's like being exposed to one of the freest personalities that you've ever met. and you just know right away that's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to do what she does and talk to people and think about this the way that she does. And it's just that every single thing, like, she does what other teachers, it's really hard to teach the way that she teaches. Because she will evaluate someone, and it's like, a lot of these people don't play or think the way she does, but she'll try and get in their head and figure out what it is that she's learned or her friends have learned around her while she's playing and express that to them to help you.
Now, have you taken classes with Mick?
Yes.
Okay, so you took Mick's class. Mick and Susan are both very smart in kind of the same way. Sorry, my phone. But Mick and Susan are both very smart in the same way, where they don't need to watch you do improv long before they can kind of pick up on the way that you do.
Susan's less likely to do Mick can define you after like a 10 minutes of seeing you perform, kind of. And he's good at that because he's seen so many goddamn people. And so is Susan, but she's less likely to be like, right off the bat, here's your thing.
Right.
But she'll watch you for like a little while and then just be like, stop. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your thing and you're doing it all the time. And it's either really good and you need to do that more or you need to stop doing this. My class at the time, like, all those people, I didn't realize when I was in class with them, they were all doing shows that I wasn't in and stuff. Like, there's a lot of dudes who are already on Herald teams, a lot of other people. So it was great to see her just tear people. Like, I mean, not tear people down in a negative way, but be like, you're very talented, and if you fucking laugh at something that another person says to you in a scene, I'm going to fucking eat your face.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just like little things. Where it's like, you're good, but if you don't fucking stop breaking, no one's going to put up with your shit.
Yeah, no, and I think I had Susan for like at least 6 different teaching encounters. Like, I was like such a crackhead for Susan
She's
Messing's
great, man.
attitude.
I've got that fiend now, man. It's been a couple years, and I'm like, I need to go back with a little bit more knowledge and have her fucking rip me a new hole.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, if that's
she does it right.
If that's how you feel, I think you should do it. I tell anyone if they ever feel they need any specific kind of training to work with anybody, just do it. You know, that's healthy. You should never stop training. You should never stop getting better.
That was Dell's thing before he died, was like pissing me off all these guys who start teaching and then just stop studying.
Yeah,
like that makes them have all the information.
So you go through IO. Did you go all the way through IO?
Yeah, I did. I've done all the programs. I did the conservatory all the way through now. That I ended finally at the beginning of this year. I've done Annoyance and IO all the way through.
Wow. Okay. Snazzy. So,
yeah.
Did you get placed on a team then out of your IO classes?
I did not.
Okay.
At the time, I was still I was 21. I actually did a podcast that very soon after the announcements had been made, and I sort of realized it was a shitty one. No one knows.
No, or did Matt Owens?
I did the Poor Choices show with Matt Owens and Mark Colomno. It was great.
Are you saying that somebody like Matt Owens would host a show called Poor Choices?
I don't know, man. They make some weird and interesting decisions, but in the city you learn to use the word interesting. He
made some interesting choices.
No, it was great, but Mark, the other host, had gone through it too, and he'd also not gotten picked up. He had some great scenes and stuff, and I think he kind of expected me to be way angrier about it. Which I was for, there's like this someone was like on Facebook, you could see this 10-minute, you went through all 9 steps of it. Like the first was like, fuck, like some like, I hate life, why does shit never work for anyone who's good? And then it was just like, I'm really glad all my friends
acceptance,
got
total acceptance. Total acceptance.
And I loved everyone they chose.
And there's like denial in there.
Yeah, well, it's like in retrospect, I wouldn't have fit with those guys. They were great. I love everyone they chose.
Mm-hmm.
They did one team. It was wonderful. I hadn't studied with the guy who was making the team either.
Did they give you a reason? Like did you call in and get notes? Did they give you notes about what to work on, what they thought?
I didn't call in and get notes because I was sort of getting them through some other people because our team's coach was also my independent team's coach at the time.
Okay.
So I was getting a lot of stuff. I need to go back and actually look at that document. But at the time, I sort of knew. It's shitty when you know kind of what your problems are, but you don't necessarily have control.
Tell the people what did you feel your problems were?
Well, I mean, I was just turned 21 by the time I was graduating IO, so I was in a very I don't know, you start drinking and going out all the time, and it just sort of hedge. Okay. But I mean, that wasn't really the issue. It was more like you just start thinking about things in more realistic terms when you hit that 21 year. It's like, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do.
Sure.
And that sort of drive just fucks your head for a while, where you're like. No, this is the thing that my brain does and loves and everything that needs.
So they felt you were maybe a little too,
I think I wasn't ready.
Forthcoming. A little too.
Yeah, I'm not sure
how to
describe it necessarily. I mean, my thing is, I have 3 different learning disorders, so it's very hard to teach me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm dyslexic, dyspraxic, and recently ADD, but that's an aggregate of symptoms, if anyone out there gives a fuck. But the whole, like, dyslexic thing is, like, I need to figure out and take apart things and understand how they work and put them back together.
Okay.
That's how I figure out how things work. And I don't know if I could teach someone who needs that. It's very hard, and you're putting a lot of force on people. Like, I remember there was a teacher where I got a note from them, and I asked them a question back, and I think they took it as, like, you're questioning my teaching. And I was like, no, I really want you to answer this question. So, because it's like I did a thing where I was sort of shifting the scene's paradigm, like, sort of taking it to a slightly different place.
I love shifting paradigms.
But it wasn't like, no, because you're my dad, and this is a pizza place. Fuck you. Where's your dildo? It wasn't anything like that. It was this whole scene where I'd been reading newspapers that were slightly out of date, and the last one was this... Oh, wait, this is an old newspaper. And I put it down, and I was going to pull up another one. And be like, oh, this is better, and do a week later in history.
Sure.
And I was like, would that have worked, having been stopped before I got to do that, and then given notes to not fuck the paradigm, like what you had created? And, you know, I mean, there's a lot, it's hard to...
It sounds like you're a very heady person. It's really hard to let go in those situations where you are so mentally driven to just relax and just fuck around with people, you know?
I needed to figure out how to do that. Most of all, I think that was my biggest thing. Is I needed to figure out how to have fun for myself.
So speaking of fun for yourself, you do the Crocodile Players now at the show below. You've got you guys do 2 shows a week?
It is Friday and Saturday nights at Crocodile, 1540 North Milwaukee. It's free. You get free pizza if you get a drink.
So free pizza and beer, but but you're a producer on this, right? You're a performer and producer.
I'm a member of the House Ensemble. I love saying that because I created it, so it's sort of a bullshit title thing. But I love it. It's 3 guest groups every Friday and Saturday, separate groups. So we book about 24 teams per month.
That's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to keep track of eventually, but there's a reason I do it, and I love giving these guys work, and I like working with them. So. Yeah,
and that's the thing is, you know, producing and doing your own shows is a lot of fun because you do get to help put some people over, and you know, do you get I'm using wrestling terms here. Put people over. Yeah. So you help all these people out, and you give them chances to perform. Do you get a lot of pay it forwards where like you do some of their shows?
Octavarius did a bunch of our shows. I know you helped them get over at Comedy Sports, like for Battle Prov those days and shit. Yeah. Before they got signed on for their next contract, they were doing our show a bunch, like post conservatory, having you gotten them in there a little bit. When they finally got their offer for their 3-month run, they invited us right up front, like, come play with us. So, like, it's just sort of this great community of people who all understand that we're here for a reason. And yeah, some of the people are a little rougher, and some of the people are a little bit more polished.
Yeah.
But that's something you don't get to see many places, and it's the reality of the situation. You know, it's like watching high school ball.
Well, and something that we talked about before was the oversaturation of the scene, and so And as somebody that's kind of right now finding your path through the system and stuff like that, and through the scene and all that, how does the oversaturation of Chicago improv affect you? And I
think there are so many opinions that are formed off people trying to figure out what people they never met would have thought.
How so?
A lot of people, everyone, I was trying to explain this the other day, it's like everyone comes here to study with certain people, many of whom aren't alive or don't live in this city anymore and stuff like that. Everyone, it's really hard to explain everyone's trying to stake claim to the same territory right now. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of, you get moments where you're like, why isn't this guy getting picked up? And it's like, oh, well, he didn't follow exactly their method. That doesn't mean he can't improvise. Mm-hmm. There are so many theaters that debate what that is or what they want, you know? And then at the same time, it's like if there are 10 guys who are good, you're looking for an 8-person team, or 11 or 10 people who are great, you're not going to get them all on the team. So, there's a lot of different situations, and I feel like in the past, a lot of people just would have left.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad, because I know people who are wonderful.
Well, the scene started so small, and it's grown so big, and, you can't sustain that model forever.
And everyone forgets that this was a bunch of guys who said, this is something I like doing, this is something I want to do, here's my mission, I'm going to go do it. And these people weren't, like, Delcos, he was on the committee, but when he was at Second City, you go back in time, this didn't mean. Second City was out of a fucking cafe for years. For the first couple years. When it was Compass, and then into Second City.
Yeah.
And it's just, people forget that it takes work and it takes passion. It doesn't just take following some fucking path that you're thinking you can do and be the next, you follow every step John Belushi did, guess what? You might still not get it.
Yeah, that was his path. Yeah, you got to craft your own path. And speaking of your path, you're on a path now to do Locked and Loaded, the show at the Underground Lounge.
Very excited.
So what excites you about this project? What excites you about this Locked and Loaded show?
Man, I love anything that sort of sets all the rules aside and accepts that we're going to be in the moment. And this, we're going to be in front of crowds that, at that point when we're going on, midnight.
12:15.
12:15, yeah.
We're on 12:15.
It might get a little rowdy.
And I wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you do. I didn't know you used to spit beer on people at shows or whatever.
Dude, yeah, there's this Forrest Hines, a great guy. You guys remember Forrest?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Forrest, he did Let Them Hose Fight. He would come do the Rebellion all the time, and I would do this bit where I would climb on top of the ladder and I would shake up a beer can and I'd spray it over the audience and I'd smash the beer can a bunch over my head. And I'd throw the beer cans in the crowd. Forrest told me the only reason he did the show and was around the show as much as he was because he just loved watching me do that. He was like, he's like, that's the fucking craziest thing. And then later on when we moved to I.O. and I couldn't do it anymore, he was mysteriously no longer around. It had lost his fucking soul.
I feel like there's a thing where people do shows for the credit, and I prefer to do shows for the experience. In a big way.
I prefer to do shows to make lots of money and get my dick sucked.
Yeah, which will totally happen at 12:15 at Underground Lounge. It will, man.
It will.
There's some dick sucking going down.
Are you saying that that's not going to happen?
There's dick sucking aplenty.
All right.
Nothing else on this. No.
All right. So how can the people find you online? What the fuck is going on in the other room?
You can find me online all over the place, guys.
No. So Travis Tack is on Facebook. You got Twitter.
Yeah, you can check out Facebook / The Show Below, or Facebook / The Crocodile Players, or TravisTack.com, or I'm a writer for National Lampoon, nationallampoon.com.
We didn't even talk about that. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. You can check that out Tuesdays at Gorilla Tango.
Yeah.
We're performing there sometimes. It's the showcase for the program I run over there, the Ensemble Improv program. Just trying to help people have fun,
Fuck yeah. That attitude is what makes this thing worth it. September 24th, Travis will be performing with us.
Yes.
Hopefully earlier nights as well. There's a chance for him to jump on in. Yes. And everyone, God bless, good night, and we'll send you more podcasts here soon.